Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar about recruiting on LinkedIn. I'm going to share my screen first so you can see the slides. Let's see. There you go. So normally you should see the slide now, online webinar, how to recruit on LinkedIn. Now sponsored email is gone. Maybe just a quick checkup if you can hear us well, if you can see us well, if you can see the slides.
Okay.
Yes. All right, cool. My name is Stephanie. I'm the marketing lead at Simple, and next to me stands Mark. He's one of the founders of Simple. And today we're going to talk about how to recruit on LinkedIn since sponsored email is not anymore available. What is on the agenda for today? Sponsored email is gone. We're going to explain what sponsored email is and all the alternatives on LinkedIn. But there are also some other interesting platforms to start with recruitment campaigns.
There's already our first question.
Okay.
We like that. I think it's a very practical question from Matthias.
Mm-hmm.
Do we get the slides after the webinar? I don't think we do that, but we'll send out the recordings.
Yes,
so
indeed.
you'll get the recordings of this webinar. Although, of course, we always advise people to stay on because then you can see the questions. If not, you will always see the slides on the recording.
Indeed. If you have questions during the webinar, you can ask them in the chat. There is a question tab available where you can ask away because that's why we're here.
Exactly.
We're really happy to help you. So if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask them.
Otherwise, I have nothing to say. So and then I will start interrupting Stephanie. She hates that. So please ask questions so you can keep me quiet and Stephanie happy. That's what everybody of you wants at the end of the day.
Indeed. Just really quickly, what do we do at Simple? We provide qualified candidates, and we do this through very targeted advertising on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, of course, and also a bit of TikTok. We do this in a user-friendly process, and we've built a software for that, which we'll come back to that at the end of the webinar. Here you can see some results from our previous campaigns. We've done over more than, I think we must adapt that number. It will be now more than 7,500, I guess, recruitment campaigns. And here you can find also some of our customers. All right. Now, before we start with the presentation about sponsored email, I just want to launch a poll to see who is already doing paid recruitment campaigns on LinkedIn. That's important to know. This webinar will be about paid advertising on LinkedIn. So not organic, not post for free. We're talking about paid recruitment campaigns.
So the poll has been launched. You should see that on the right hand of your screen, where you can click yes or no. Let's have a look at the first results. Okay, that's interesting. It's about half. So about half of the people have already published a campaign that kind of stays a bit stable.
Mm-hmm.
As the results are pouring in. I feel a bit like the Eurovision Song Contest now. The results are pouring in. France, top one, s'il vous plaît. Yeah, it's 50-50, 52-48. So it's a good mix that we have.
All right, cool. For the people that don't know what a sponsored email is, let's just really quickly explain that to you guys. A sponsored email is actually a direct message that you send to someone on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It is highly targeted. What do I mean by that? You make them in the LinkedIn Campaign Manager, where you can target your audience, your specific audience. And the second one that is important, it's paid. So you have to have a media budget to run sponsored emails.
And maybe if I can just, before you go on to the next slide on what's happening with them, because we get some questions, I think people are a bit confused, saying, well, I still receive email from recruiters, or we get 15 email messages per month. Yes, you do, but these are messages which are sent from your account. Obviously, you are still able to send email within your network. I mean, that hasn't stopped, and that was never sponsored. You never had to pay for that. And indeed, depending on the kind of recruiter account you have, you might still be able to send messages. But what we're talking about here is where you would say, look, I want to send this target audience messages at about, I'm not sure what our average cost per message was.
I think it's more or less 10 euros now.
10 euros, yeah. And also depending on which are opened, which are not opened.
Yeah.
So it was a very efficient way to recruit, but this is completely separate from the emails you send yourself, and of course the connection requests you send to as a recruiter. You can send connection requests to people you want to connect to. That is still available, although that's also limited now by LinkedIn to about 100 a week.
Yeah,
I think there's a limit coming into that, which is, I think, a different webinar on how you work with the Phantom Buster and things like that. Good. All right. And then a question from Emilia: why did LinkedIn stop this?
we're going to explain. Yes.
So let's hold on that, and we'll come back to some of your other questions also in a minute. But let's first explain what's happening.
All right. So what is happening with sponsored email? On the 10th of December, this was the message that LinkedIn has sent to us. It was a newsletter, actually, and they are suspending sponsored messages in Europe to European Union members. They said from the beginning, they said at the middle of December, but in reality, it was actually the 12th of January that we saw that sponsored emails weren't sent out anymore. And why is this? Well, they say due to the evolving legal landscape, it's a bit vague.
Read GDPR.
Yes, indeed, indeed. But I think it has something to do with now a user isn't available to click off sponsored emails or to tick them on. So you can't really say, okay, I want sponsored emails or I don't want sponsored emails. And I think that's something that they are looking for now to see if it's actually GDPR approved.
Yeah.
We also see that with other platforms where there are also some changes, also in the same period of time, on Facebook and Instagram as well, on the Meta platforms. So there is something going on in the legal landscape. Yeah. All right.
That's interesting. You actually think they're related?
I do think so,
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
We should talk more, Stephanie.
Indeed. All right. So are there some questions about the why and what is a sponsored email? Because we're not coming back to that again.
There's a question from Shu saying paid direct message is not the same as email. Yes, yeah. No, yeah. You have paid email and you have free email. So the free email obviously is not impacted. And then Francesca is saying that she still is receiving I think emails, or I'm not sure if it's sponsored email, Francesca. It actually, the way you know it is that on top of the message, it says sponsored message, right? If that's not the case, there's a different kind of email, which is probably, the free emails, the 15 emails that recruiters are able to send per month.
Yeah, and there's
or you're not in the EU. I'm not sure where Francesca is based, but if you're not based in the EU, obviously this does not apply to you.
The only thing that I'm not really sure of is that you also have an account which is called the recruiter account.
And that's a 15 free emails.
That's a 15. Okay, all right. Then it could be from that one. All right. Now, what are the alternatives to use on LinkedIn? Also, what I also wanted to say, sorry, I'm thinking of it right now, that we had some contact with our account manager from LinkedIn itself, and he also said that it was not really clear if it's coming back again after they solved the legal stuff. So maybe it will come back in 2022, but it's not sure.
I think that the timeline is evolving. They were initially hoping before summer. Now they're already kind of moving that back into the year. Obviously, from one perspective, I think LinkedIn was making a lot of money on these messages. So I think there's a big interest for them to fix it. And also, that's obviously the objective of today is we've known, because we've tested many alternatives, from a return on investment perspective, this was the best way to find recruits. But we'll talk about that to find applicants.
Yes.
Sorry.
All right. So, what are the alternatives to use from on LinkedIn, the platform itself? The first one is a picture advertisement. A picture advertisement you see in your feed, in your feed on LinkedIn. It's on mobile and on desktop, of course, where you can add some copy to it, where you can show some images of the person that you are looking for. Another option is that you can also use video advertisements. It comes also in your LinkedIn feed. I will just show you this one really quickly. Let's see if my volume is on. Yes. So you see, it's a really short, snappy video of authentic pictures. They were looking for an engineer in construction, and you see the brand of the company as well. So you can make really customized advertising for your vacancy. And then the third one, we experimented with spotlight advertisements. These are advertisements that only comes up in desktop, on your desktop, and it's at the right top where you can find them. We experimented with those, but we didn't see results coming in. So I wouldn't recommend to use the sponsored ads. I would recommend more the picture and the video advertisements. And I'm going to explain you how you need to set up those right now. All right, before you can actually start up setting up your campaign, there are some marketing basics which you need to keep in mind before you can actually dive into LinkedIn Campaign Manager.
Okay, just because we keep getting questions on the difference between sponsored emails and the lead and the still possible emails. Mm-hmm. So I'll try to maybe rephrase that again. If you have a recruiter account today, right, you are indeed possibly able to send in-mails, I think 15 or 20, depending on what your subscription allows you, to people whom you select, and then you say, okay, I'm going to send an email to this person, right? That is still possible. What is not possible anymore, and what was sponsored email, is that you would say, I want to send this kind of email to everybody who has a master's degree, living in Belgium and speaking these and these languages, right? So it's actually a way to target a big amount of people by sending them a sponsored email right into their inbox. So that sponsored email, the kind of mass emailing, is not possible anymore, which is also used by a lot of recruiters. But if you have a recruiter account, the 15 emails you can send there, you can do that because why? Because it's different, because you don't target an aggregate. You actually handpick people which you want to send an email to. And apparently, because of GDPR, that is seen as a different approach. Okay, I'm getting thanks twice now. Okay. So I'm assuming the difference is clear. Okay, thanks for.
But I can imagine. I can see the confusion.
Yeah, I can see the confusion. Yeah. Because we actually didn't explain it properly.
No. Yeah, but it's true. It's true.
That's true. So thanks for that request for clarification. So I hope it's clear for everybody now.
All right. So the first thing that you need to do if you want to start with recruitment campaigns on LinkedIn Ads Manager, then you need to install the LinkedIn Insight tag. And I just want to ask you with a poll, who knows what the LinkedIn Insight tag actually is and why you should install this one?
It's published. Let's have a look. Okay, well, we have a big amount of people saying, what the hell? Actually, so that's my interpretation of what is an insight tag. I think what the hell is an insight tag is actually funnier.
I know.
So we should ask that question. So 60% of people don't know what it is, and only 5% have actually installed it.
Okay.
Good.
All right, cool. So the LinkedIn Insight tag is actually a kind of code that you need to install on your website. And then it will track every action that a person takes on your website. That information is sent back to LinkedIn. So LinkedIn can optimize your campaign in the best way. Now, why should you install this also? There are three main things. The first one is track conversions. LinkedIn wants to know when a conversion has taken place. So when we're talking about recruitment campaigns, when an application has taken place. With us, if they fill in a form on our website, they come to a thank you page. On that thank you page, the LinkedIn Insight tag is fired, and that information is sent back to LinkedIn.
And maybe just to explain, when we say fired, we mean that the signal is sent to LinkedIn. So LinkedIn will then be able to track that people actually landed on that page. There's a question on how to install it. We'll come back to that in a second.
Yes.
Sean.
All right. The second thing which you can do with the LinkedIn Insights tag is, if you have enough data on your website already, then you can build audiences with it. For example, if you have many vacancies of people in construction, then you can use that data to actually build audiences and to broaden your audiences to reach more people on LinkedIn. And then the third one is retargeting. If someone comes to your vacancy page, but they didn't apply immediately, you can retarget them with some advertisement, which you show again to that specific person. So these are the three important ones. How you should install it, I'm not going to explain it right now, but I just want to show you what we use.
Maybe just can because with retargeting, to make sure, because it's a very powerful tool. Can we give an example of how other companies use it? Like, can we give an Amazon example, maybe?
Yeah. Can you explain?
Okay, right. Yeah. So I will do that. So you've all been, probably on Amazon, and then you've put something in your shopping bag, or what is it, shopping cart, or you've looked at it something and you went back and looked at it again. Because of the tracking system, Amazon is then able to kind of know that you've looked at it, even although they are not able to identify you as a person. But they will make sure that once you go to other websites, you will see a picture of that product you've been watching again, and you will see back again. I mean, all of you have experienced that, I'm pretty sure, whether that's books or anything else. It's obviously not only Amazon. There's a lot of most e-commerce websites do that. That is retargeting, right? I just want to kind of use that as an example. I think you explained it, but the fact that you are able to keep showing it to people whom you know are interested, it's a very powerful tool. Because maybe at the first time they didn't have time. To continue the Amazon example, maybe you didn't have your credit card on you, but you still want those shoes. But then 1 week later, you remind us, oh yeah, true, I'll buy them now. So we kind of see that effect being very powerful also in recruiting, because maybe people have seen your advertising when they're on the bus, they didn't have time, or the phone rang, or whatever. So that's why it's important, amongst other things, to use that pixel.
Yes.
And if I can also still build on that a bit more, install the pixel now. And we'll explain to you how you're able to install that. But even if you're only planning to do recruitment in the next 6 months, the quicker you start collecting data, the more powerful your future campaigns will be. Because things change very quickly on the data front. We've seen at the 7th of December with Facebook. If there's some big changes going on Facebook for recruitment advertising, we were able to kind of weather the storm, right? Because we had lots of data points that we collected before. So it's always good to start collecting data as soon as possible. I'm actually not sure whether we're going to go quickly show how we do it in our software.
Yes.
Okay, right, we'll do that in the end. But whether you use our software or whether you do it and set it up yourself, that doesn't really matter. But it's very important to start collecting data, thanks to the pixel, as soon as possible.
Yes.
Good. Back to you, Steph.
All right. So some other useful tools which we recommend to install is Google Analytics. Google Analytics is a platform from Google, and there you can see all the data points that a person takes on your website. For example, on which pages do they click on which buttons, how long do they stay on each page. So this is a really useful tool to get some insights. Now, how do you install the LinkedIn Insights tag? Well, what we recommend is to do it via Google Tag Manager. If you have a developer in-house, then he or she can also install it directly to your website through coding. But Google Tag Manager is also a platform from Google where you can easily install pixels and insight tags on your website. You can also install different events which you want to track over there. You need to have some marketing know-how though, some developing know-how as well, but it's more easy than to directly install it on your website. And then the third useful tool is Google Data Studio. Google Data Studio is actually a platform where you can build customized dashboards, and you will see, you can track all the data points from the pixel, from the Facebook pixel, from the LinkedIn Insight tag, from Google Analytics. You can combine them all together in a nice dashboards, which you can make with Google Data Studio. These are all tools that are for free, so have a look at them to see if it can help you installing that.
And also, because there's a question, also, Grazia, installing the Insight tag is free.
Yes.
So actually, to be honest, you're doing LinkedIn a massive favor by installing it, because it helps them also to collect data and make their platform better. So I think they're even willing to pay you to install the Insight tag.
Yes. Now, how you have to do it, maybe we can share the link to our academy.
I was just getting the link.
All right, cool. So, because we have made some massive content in the past about how to install the Insight tag, for example, which you can find in our data-driven recruitment white paper. You will also see in the academy, you can register for free, and there are lots of webinar recordings over there, white papers, checklists, etc., which can help you with your recruitment campaigns.
And you're not going to believe this before you ask, and it's also all for free, right? Because that's the kind of people we are. We like to give away everything just for free.
Indeed. All right, and the third marketing basic that you need to keep in mind is a funnel. What is a funnel? Well, here you see the recruitment funnel. Those are different steps that a person takes when they come to your website. So first of all, they apply. Then you have the selection process internally in your company. It can be several job interviews, it can be different steps, and then hopefully you come to a hire. So these are all the steps that a person takes to come to a hire. This is a recruitment funnel, but before the recruitment funnel, you have the marketing funnel. And I think this one is even more important because, of course, you need to get people to your website, to your vacancy page. And I want to explain to you this because now that sponsored email is gone, you need to be creative on how you are going to target your audience and how you're going to get traffic to your vacancy page. The marketing funnel can be divided into 3 different phases. In the discover phase, and I will show it with an example. For example, if you're looking for someone in construction, then you show your advertisements to a broad audiences where you specifically talk about construction worker, about maybe some trends of 2022, maybe a blog post, but you don't show your vacancy yet. It's just to generate clicks from construction workers. In the engage phase, you will show something more about boost your career, like here, about are you looking for a new opportunity? So you know that people that click on that specific advertisement are willing to change jobs or they are interested in a new job opportunity. But it's only in the attract phase that you will show your specific advertisement. Here, for example, we were looking for a construction engineer, and it says immediately what we're looking for. So there you will show your specific advertisement with your brand logo, with your company name, etc., which is really, really specific. Now, this is important to keep in mind because the recruitment funnel and the marketing funnel are, of course, linked to each other. You have a media budget behind it, so you run advertisements, and you want to know in which step of the funnel you want to optimize in the best way. I would recommend, if you want to learn more about that, to see, look at our recording of our data-driven recruitment webinar, which will explain it a bit more into detail. Now, how do you start with setting up a campaign on the LinkedIn Campaign Manager? First of all, and this is, I think, the most important one, is you have to define your target audience. Think about what your audience should look like. Who is the ideal candidate for your specific vacancy? And think about it before you dive into the LinkedIn Campaign Manager, because there are lots of options to build audiences in LinkedIn. And you need to think about, okay, what are the requirements that my candidate needs to have? What are the hard skills? What are the soft skills? What are maybe some general interests, etc. So think about that beforehand. Now, what are the options in LinkedIn Campaign Manager? First of all, you can target a really specific location. If you're looking for someone in London, you can target London really specific, so you know that your advertisement is only shown in London. The second one is there are lots of job experiences which you can choose from, also sectors, job sectors, but also a specific education. For example, if you're looking for a digital marketeer, then you might say that he needs a degree, a bachelor or master degree in communications or in marketing. You can easily select those on the LinkedIn platform itself. You can also choose for example, if you're looking for someone experienced, you can actually select the category, okay, I need someone with more than 10 years of working experience or minimum 3 years, etc. Those are all options in LinkedIn. But then the third one, and Mark already said it, it's the most important one, is data. If you have installed the LinkedIn Insight tag and you already have some visitors on your website, you can use that data to actually broaden your audiences and to make lookalike audiences, it's called, to show your advertisements to more people that have the same common interests, the same job experience, etc. So that's why it's so important to install the LinkedIn Insight tag right now if you're planning to do recruitment campaigns. Now, I just want to show you really quickly how we do it in our software. Let's see. Yeah, Mark, can you?
Yes, okay, well, just
right.
very briefly.
Yes.
I mean, just as an example of how you can actually use past data towards future vacancies or future campaigns. Well, we've made it very easy that, for instance, in this case, we make a dummy advertising for a barista. You can just go and click in our software and then look at what might be a comparable category or comparable job, in this case, hospitality. And what our system will then do is look at all the other jobs or all the other vacancies we've run on hospitality jobs. And then look, as Stephanie explained, what are the similar qualities, what are the similar characteristics of people who have been visiting that page. Or we even go one step further, we actually look at people who stayed on the page for 30 seconds and read at least 75% of the vacancy, because that's a good indication on their interest and on their intent. So once you have all that data, you can actually use that, which is what we're doing here, and we make it easy for you to do so, to then say, okay, look, I want to use this campaign for barista. I only want to show this to people who have similar characteristics and who are more likely to work in the hospitality industry. And that's to see the power of sites like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. We'll talk a bit about that also, to compare it with them later, because they have a massive amount of user data. And I know I'm explaining again what Stephanie already mentioned, but I think it's really important to understand that in what way this is very, very different than posting something on Indeed or Glassdoor or whatever, because the massive amount of data that these companies have about users, they really know so much, and well, some would say everything about it, and I guess that's a philosophical discussion for another time. But for now, you can actually use those insights. You can use that knowledge to actually help you manage, show your advertising to the right people. And either you can do that yourself by building and by installing the pixel and start building up that that data, or you could use a software like ours. There's no other software which does it, so actually you can do it yourself or use our software. Actually, I should make it very, very easy as it shows. No, I mean, kidding aside, just to show you the importance of data, because then once the rules change, as LinkedIn has done now, and that's also why we're giving this webinar, even if the rules change, if you have that set of data, that's really gold, and you can continue using that towards the future.
Indeed, indeed. So once you've defined your target audience, you have to build your creative, you have to build your advertisement. And what we recommend is to have a look at your competition. And I'm not talking about the competition of your company, of your brand, but I'm talking about the competition of your target audience, because LinkedIn is a bidding platform and you're competing against people that also want to reach the same audience as you.
And that advertising, it's very important to point out, as you well know, most of the advertising done on LinkedIn is not vacancy related. So this is about software, this is about Volvo selling cars, this is about whatever it might be. And that's your competition for that same audience. So it's really important to kind of break that out, saying there's other advertising than just recruitment advertising, which is another big difference versus Indeed and other job boards.
So I will just really show you how you can search for advertisements of the competitors that you are looking for. Let's see if I can open a window. There you go.
For a minute there, you showed Google and people think, okay, we should use Google.
No.
Thanks for the tip, Stephanie. We're happy we followed this webinar. We wouldn't have known.
You need to have some patience.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to show you our simple LinkedIn profile. So you have to have a business profile to actually run recruitment campaigns. That's one thing. And then the view as a member. There you go. And then here you can see lots of sections. And with posts, within the post section, there is a section advertisements. And there you can see all the advertisements that company runs. So here you can see all the advertisements that we run, some B2C and B2B advertisements. But it can give you some inspiration about how other companies make their advertisements. All right. And I'm going back to the presentation. Okay, then I also want to share with you some learnings which we have from our recruitment campaigns, which we did on LinkedIn. And the first one is use authentic pictures. This is really important. I mean, you can search for stock images on the internet, but people want to know where they are going to work, what are they going to do, in which team do they come. So just take your mobile, take some pictures of afterworks, of your team, of the cook, for example, but show people what your company is about. The second one is use uniform communication. What do I mean by that? Well, if you show your logo, which I highly recommend, on the advertisement, then use the same branding colors for the function title that you're looking for. We also recommend to actually say the function title directly. I will also show you some advertisements, some video advertisements as well, but it needs to be immediately clear what your advertisement is looking for and what you're searching for. If you use the branding colors, use them also on your vacancy page, because LinkedIn will not only have a look at your campaign, but also what people do on your website. And if the communication is a bit uniform, then your performance of your campaign will also be better. And then the third one, you can find lots of best practices on the internet as well from LinkedIn Business. But what we recommend is to test them, because just a quick example, LinkedIn said with sponsored email that is gone now, that they advise to use sponsored advertisements, the one that I showed you in the beginning. We tested a lot with them. We tested different job titles, different companies, different locations as well. But we didn't receive applications. And applications is the most important metric when you're doing recruitment campaigns, of course, because you want to have as much as applications as possible. Then, of course, you can also make some videos. You can also choose for video advertisements. I'm going to show you these ones. Let's see if my volume, yes, all right. This this was for Green Energy Park. This is a client for us, from us, and we made a little video about the people that are working there. You can see that these are all authentic pictures. And then the next one is from, National Lottery, which is also a client from us, which is based in Belgium. But you see, it's really short, it's really snappy, but it's immediately clear what the company is looking for, what the requirements are from the candidates that they are looking for. So you need to be really specific in your copy as well. What we also recommend is if you have several pictures or perhaps a picture and a video, then throw them both online in the LinkedIn Campaign Manager, which is called A/B testing. What is an A/B test? It's actually an experiment that you run and you only defer one variable. So for example, here you can see this advertisement for Arval, which is a client from us. They were looking for an account manager. And you see that the job title remained the same, the copy remained the same, the call to action remained the same. It was only the picture that was different. You throw them both in the LinkedIn Campaign Manager, and after a couple of days, you will see which one is working better, which one has the highest click-through to your vacancy page, which one has the most applications, what is the cost per applications. Those are all metrics to keep in mind when you do A/B testing. And of course, you can do A/B testing on different levels. You can do it on your advertisement. You can do it with audiences. You can do it with placements as well on LinkedIn. You can also test a couple of things on your vacancy page, but it's important to test only one thing at a time so you know why one version is working better than the other one. All right, no questions?
Nothing at the moment, no.
All right. And I hope everything is clear.
I think people are saying, what in the name of hell is this? But I'm assuming, or they all went to the academy and they're just looking at the white papers.
All right. Okay. Now, how much money do you need to provide to run LinkedIn campaigns? Well, you need to have at least minimum 10 euros a day. Then you can run one advertisement. But as I said, you have to A/B test a couple of things. Well, that's something that we recommend, because if you have several pictures and you think that one will work good, you can easily test it. So you have to have at least minimum 10 euros a day, but then you can only test one version of your advertisement. So what we recommend is to have at least 20 or 30 euros a day to actually run some different experiments. All right. Then, of course, there are some other alternatives to other platforms to use when you want to recruit, when you want to do paid recruitment campaigns. So 20% is actually actively looking for a job, and they're looking on job boards, they're looking on Google, they're actively searching for vacancies. But 80% of the working population is not actively looking for a job, but they might be interested in a change. And you have to reach them where they are every single day, and that's on Facebook as well. So not only LinkedIn, but also Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I know LinkedIn has a reputation of being more professional, I know that there are lots of recruiters as well on LinkedIn searching for candidates. But there are also candidates available on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And I just want to say that if you are recruiting, if you're actively looking for candidates, then don't only use LinkedIn as a platform, because the other options are also there, and they are useful for recruitment.
Before we go to the next slide, Stefan, I think there's a very, very good question from Amy. How long would you run an ad before determining if to turn it off or change? Before turning it off or change the
okay. Well, what we do is when we run campaigns for our clients, they run at least 30 days. I think that's a good period to actually receive some applicants. Of course, if you have a really nice package and a really nice what's in it for the candidate, because it's also important if you're doing recruitment campaigns, recruitment advertising on LinkedIn, you need to have a nice what's in it for the candidates. You need to think about that. And if you have that, and if you have a good audience, then it might be that after 1 week or after 10 days, you already have lots of applicants and you can turn it off. But if you're doing a B test, I would really recommend to run it at least 5 days, 5 full days, because the algorithm need to have some time. And it can be that some advertisement is working better the first day, but it can all change. It also depends on the weekdays as well.
Yeah, I think also what's going to be very important is that, depending on how you measure, right? Because obviously, if you put your campaign live yourself, you will actually measure the effectiveness or the return on investment by how many people apply. But that's going to take a bit of time, right? So what might be interesting, and that's also what our software will do, is we will start looking at what I already mentioned, which is a 30-75, which is how many people are staying on there for 30 seconds and read 75% of your vacancy. Because, if one picture is delivering more people that stay longer on your vacancy, you can make some assumptions that it will also kind of deliver more applicants. And because of kind of putting that conversion moment earlier in the process, you will get data quicker and more reliable, which is also one of the reasons why if you would run A/B tests through our software, we actually only need about 36 hours, 48 hours.
Yeah.
So we need a lot less time because we look at lots of other parameters apart from just how many people apply. So I realize this has been a long answer. You could think that the answer is use our software. That is one of the solutions. But the other one is also that you just need to make sure you have enough data points and you look at maybe other data than just people that are applying for your vacancy. There's a question from Sean Chu, or Sean, I think Sean Chu. Do you have or are going to have webinars on how to recruit on Facebook and TikTok? Seeing you haven't been paying attention, because we have those webinars and they are available for free right now if you go to our academy. So just click on the link after the webinar, click on the link that I've sent in the chat. And then if you're in a software on the bottom left, I might actually show it.
Yeah, because we're going.
I'll show you in a second.
Yes. All right. So I know it's a lot to keep in mind. And when you don't have any marketing know-how, the LinkedIn Campaign Manager can be overwhelming. There are lots of options. You need to install the Insight tag. You need to think about audiences, about data, about A/B testing. But what we did at Simple is we've actually built a software where you can easily set up your recruitment campaign without any marketing know-how. So you don't need to have the LinkedIn Insight tag installed. You don't need to think about A/B testing. You don't need to have a Facebook page or a LinkedIn page. You don't need to have a website even. You can easily use our software.
You just need your credit card to pay for a very low subscription fee. I have to say, it's just crazy. It starts from 99 euros. And I'll just show you, if you allow me, Steph, to just kind of show my screen here and to show the baby we were so proud of. And can you see my screen? Yes, here we are. So, I mean, I'm just going to build on the same example we've shown on Barista. So you can easily build your advertising all within our app. So you can add Instagram, LinkedIn advertising. You can upload your video. As of next week, you'll be able also to use this for TikTok. And in a very user-friendly way, you just click, you go and find an image you have somewhere, you use that image, and then basically we will put a banner on there, we will put your logo there in different formats. So everything is done for you. Same to build your vacancy page, which is done really in a very easy way. You just click, you put the text you want there. And then the interesting part is once you have candidates coming in, you can very easily look at what questions the candidates have answered in the chatbot. You can take notes about the candidates. You can actually email or call them right from the software. And if you decide that you want to kind of continue with Chandler as the candidate for your barista job, you just drag him here. You notice that we put Joey in the procedure because he obviously wasn't qualified. He basically kind of, wasn't able to really count all the money at the end of the day. I'm just kind of blabbing away here. But joke aside, when you kind of start kind of managing candidates, that's another data point for our software to help them to manage and kind of steer and adapt to social media campaigns. And I'll just go, because this is a dummy vacancy, I will just go to a live campaign so you can see how these numbers look. So for the campaign, we'll then show how many visits you have, how many applications, how much money you have spent. You can then click on the different channels towards working. And this is what I want to show. Our software will then decide which ads to put on inactive because they're not kind of giving enough return on investment, and to only continue with the best working ads. And that's why we say it's recruitment marketing for non-marketeers. The only thing you need to do is set up your advertising, define the budget, which you do here, right? You define the budget and everything else is done. After that, you can just go look at candidates and manage the candidates. Good. And sorry,
the Academy.
The Academy. I just realized the question from Scene. So here, you click on Academy, and this is where you'll find all the webinars, amongst others, Facebook versus TikTok, data-driven recruitment. There's some great white papers here. There's some tools to calculate your budget, etc., etc., etc. So I think you shared the registration link.
Yes.
Again. So just register on the software. You'll be able to play around with it. You can actually test for free for 2 weeks. So test the campaign so you know whether this is actually helping you in delivering candidates.
Yes.
Good.
All right.
There's some questions coming in here. So first, the question from Yeda was the website at least. You're based in Malta. That must be fantastic to be based in Malta. I'm very jealous. Yeda, I wish I could say the same. Although, of course, we're now in the beautiful city of Antwerp. You can use this app from everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. So just to get registered, we're running campaigns now in Serbia, in Germany, in Italy. That's not a problem. You can run it wherever you are, and whenever there's Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn, you can launch this campaign. And then a question from Veerle: can you link the candidates to your career page, ATS? Shall I answer that? The question is no, Veerle. Why is that the case? Because we are looking at integration with ATS, but there's about 1,200 different ATSs. So that's quite complicated. But what's very important for our software is that we can measure how long people are staying on the career page. So I know that lots of other software might just help you to generate clicks to your landing page, but actually that's not worth that much, just to click to your landing page. The real value lies in starting to measure what's happening when they are on your career page, and that's why we've integrated that in our software. Of course, what most of our customers do, we have some blue chip companies like NG, like the Heineken company. What they do is they do the first selection in our software, and then they transfer the candidates to their own ATS, which is done very, very easily. So that's kind of the way to get the candidates into your own ATS system. Mm-hmm. I'm just looking because there was a question in the chat, I think.
Yes. All right.
Yes, there's a question from Disleys, but I'm not really sure if I understand it. Mm-hmm. Facebook had lots of issues with authentic pictures. They did not accept some of the pictures we uploaded with employees from different backgrounds. That would be a first because we've never encountered this, I think. No. No. On the contrary, actually.
But if you launch advertisement and if it's rejected by Facebook or by LinkedIn, then you can always ask for a review, because sometimes it's just a keyword that you're using and it's directly rejected. But if you ask for a review and you can explain a bit why it's not against their policy, then Facebook will review it, or LinkedIn, and then well, most of the time it will go live.
I mean, what's happening? The first rejection is done by a machine, right? And that machine will look at, maybe they think that the picture you uploaded is a copyrighted picture or whatever, and then you have to ask for a review, and then a real human being will look at it, and then you might maybe give a better explanation on what happened.
All right. If you have still some more questions, we're still here, so you can still ask them in the chat. If not, you can try to find them in the Simple Academy.
Yes.
And if you have some questions in the next couple of days, in the next couple of weeks, you can always send us an email or a message on LinkedIn. I would also recommend you to follow our LinkedIn Simple page, because there you will always see the new webinars that we do every week. So have a look over there as well.
And we're just going to publish a last poll.
Yes.
Just asking you for feedback on how you think this webinar went. Whether you thought my jokes were just stupid, whether you think the explanations of Stephanie were brilliant. Anything you want to share with us, just give us a score. That helps us to make it even better the next time.
Indeed, indeed.
So let's have a look at the scores. Awesome. Some good scores there. 1-5 though, so I guess we'll have to live with that, with the 5, but we'll try and do better next time.
Yes.
I don't think there's any more questions, so I think we can wrap up.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for joining us, and I hope to see you again in one of our next webinars.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.